Spell your last name.
My last P-E-S-H-E-H-O-N-O.
O-N-O?
O-N-O-F-F.
I knew. I
You knew kind of that.
compounded, yeah, but I just wanted to make sure we had it
I
right.
could spell it before I could say it.
Well, okay.
So you
All
can
right.
send it to
Okay.
Elijah.
All right, floor's yours.
What do you got?
He's got the rest and right away deal with tonight.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, he called in about public comment.
Okay, so I can go.
Yeah.
Okay. This is about a public road right-of-way that has existed for 88 years in Monida. While she's gone, I could give you a little bit of history. I'd like to give you a little bit of history about the people that I'm going to be talking about. In 1889, Monida, 80 acres. Monida is all situated in the east half of the northeast quarter of Section 3, Township 15 South, 6 West. Okay. In 1889, it was granted to Deering, a family named Deering. In 1909, Deering sold their 80 acres to a family named Paul. I believe Paul's were from California. I believe Paul's must have been kind of developers because they did them. Okay, so that was 1909. All right. Paul's developed the community, basically, all of it. Now you gotta remember that the initial road was just kind of a wagon trail at this time. And so nothing really changed. In 1937, Mr. Paul died. And Mrs. Paul sold this parcel, we'll call it the Miller Field. They've already developed a lot of the home sites in Monida, but the Miller Field, they had kept it. And the road went through the Miller Field, the road that went out to the valley toward Lakeview. So in 1937, she sold this property because Miller had already bought a house there, a lot, a meets and bounds deeded lot. Okay, so then they still had this field next to them and they wanted it. So Mrs. Paul, a widow, sold the property to Miller at that point. And it was total 20.07 acres, I believe it says on the deed. I have all the deeds, but we don't have the time for you to read them or anything. But so in the deed, now where did this one line, this basic line, it's 1,593 feet long. It's a fence line. It starts out at section northeast corner of Section 3, but it doesn't follow the section line. It followed the old road, the existing road, okay? And that's how that road got next to that fence, and which is still, the right-of-way is still next to the fence, the legal right-of-way. The right-of-way was transferred in these exact words. It goes through the whole legal description of the property, and except down in the border, it says save and accept 2.4 acres right of way Lakeview, Monida County Road, and the following properties that had already been sold out of this big piece that they had abstracted this Miller Field out of. So Paul, in 1937, Paul never relinquished underlying ownership of the right-of-way. It stayed in Paul's name. It is in Paul's name until today, still today. Except we have some voices that have been, so the last piece of land on the east side of the road right-of-way sold recently, about a month ago. And the family was sent to me because I have the deeds, and another adjacent landowner sent them to me. Go talk to Victor, he's got the deeds. Okay, so they did. And so I brought them into my shop, and I had the deeds out anyway because I was looking at another issue. And I showed him all of the deeds and what they say. And save and accept is a very, very explicit term. There's no ambiguity with it. There shouldn't be any ambiguity with it. And it's not very easy for the commission to vacate that. Once that is down in writing, that right of way is there, unless the commission vacates it. But if there's adjoining landowners who oppose it, state law says that can't be abandoned. So for 88 years, this land has been sitting there, and it still sits there today, unencumbered. Well, Mr. Moline, John Moline, who bought this last piece of land, called and tries to do everything right, wants to do everything right. So he called the transportation bureau, department, I don't know, a girl answered. She said, "Oh, you'll have to talk to the county planner." So he talks to the county planner, and the county planner tells him that he has to get permission from Casey Smith. Okay. When he told me that, that's when I went in and read the deeds. This is how it's written. The Miller property never got any underlying ownership of the right of way. And Casey Smith is the one who owns the Miller property. But the planner told him that he had to go. So after he talked to me, and I showed him all the deeds, well, Mr. Moline made a decision. And so I didn't want to really raise any flags, so I just kind of shut up until now. He came last Wednesday. He got the access into his property from the county road over the deeded right of way. But Casey Smith drove up while he was doing it and starts spouting at him. He doesn't want it where Mr. Moline originally wanted it. He wants it down here because Casey Smith's going to develop this road right of way. But I saw Casey drive up there, so I followed him. So I was listening to, kind of made Casey mad because why am I getting involved? Well, I'm getting involved because John Moline came to me and asked me what was there. And but I don't want to just talk to him about what's there. I wanted to show him what was there. So I showed him all the deeds, and everything I have here is recorded and comes from across the road. So anyway, Casey thinks he owns this piece of property. The access is in there and everything is right, and okay, fine. I'm okay right now. But Casey thinks he's going to build something on it. 88 years, never been transferred to the Miller name. The underlying ownership still sits in Paul's name. How do we deal with that? It's easy. It's kind of easy. We make some effort to find that Paul errs. And if we can't find the Paul heirs, then we go through a process called the SQUIT, actually it is. It's ESCHEAT, was cheat, they pronounce it. What happens is unclaimed property like this, you look for the heirs, there are no heirs, there's nobody that wants to claim the property. So it becomes state property, goes into the school trust. That's what I'd like to see done here. And basically that's where we stand. And I'm hoping that nothing, I was hoping that this would all go through. Mr. Moline would come in and put his access in and go home and get ready to build his little cabin so his young family can come over here and enjoy Beaverhead County, Montana. Pretty much my statement.
This is further with that, road easement we got in there. So there's a strip of ground they talk about there in Very Wide. You're talking that belongs to Paul?
The underlying land ownership, it's a right of way. It's a state right of way, highway right of way. It goes from Oneida to Lakeview. It's 1,593 feet. The underlying ownership is still in Paul's name. Yes, sir. It was never been vacated by this commission. And the commission really can't vacate it without getting the agreement from the adjacent landowners that will be affected. There are 4 adjacent landowners to the east that could be affected by a vacation of this and make this land private. And so somebody could do it. We don't want to see that, of course. We don't want a trailer put on it. And there's also, while Mr. Moline was up there, one of the ranchers out in the valley, Bill Huntsman, stopped and talked with him for a half hour. Bill said, he can't build anything. There's water lines under there, so they know who it is. I am one of the other adjacent landowners, and I sold the school property, which is also an adjacent property to the county road right of way. And
See, this is where we're using terms as I'm confused. Maybe that's what that is a state highway, you keep saying, and now you talk county right of way. Oh, I mean, it's either state or it's county.
well, no, sir,
Okay.
again, Lee?
Yeah.
The road has a state number.
Right.
In the book, it says it's active. State Highway 509.
Right.
The county does all
The maintenance.
the maintenance on the road, and all the decisions made on the road come from this place here.
Mhm.
So do I know how that works? Not necessarily.
The reason I ask that is because that's the same as 324 to go to Grant. And that's the way, I don't know how they ever got that down. If they're paid, the state takes maintenance. If they're not paid, the county takes maintenance. But the underlying ownership is what I'm trying to get to.
I can tell you how this began.
It is the underlying ownership of state highways. The state owns that ground. Most county roads, and I don't know if there's any different, we do not own the ground. We just own the right of ways. And that's what I'm trying to get cleared through my mind.
Well,
So,
Dana,
okay.
are we to pull up Montana Cadastral? So I can show you.
Yeah.
what
Do you want to
it's
take
like.
control? Do you want to do it?
Yeah, so that's why I'm asking this. This is a weird deal. But
It's a
then,
very weird deal.
and then all of a sudden we heard this, that Casey owns the property that they're building the right of way across. So that's why I'm asking some questions.
Just like.
This would be good.
well, we're here trying to get an answer.
Yeah.
The cadastral, I hate the cadastral.
Well, it's
Because the
similar to
cadastral
the
is not
surveyed by
real.
Travis, so that's why I want to show you. Because, it pretty much looks the same.
Well, that whole highway, I mean, if we ever check
Here's
that
the
out,
question.
does the state own that
The
road?
property doesn't butt up against the road, and that's part of the issue.
That's what he mentioned right there.
spell the other guy's name, so.
I think it's NELIN.
Sorry, he's right next door, so.
Oh.
This is the guy he had to get
Mhm.
Not that one. Okay, so here's Smith piece, and this is,
There's a piece right in there.
this is the, I don't know how to say his last name, Mellon property. Okay,
That triangle piece, all right?
yes, so it does not butt against the road. So this initially started because he applied for a septic permit. And Tom said, you're gonna need access given by Smith because the road goes through his property. So he called me, told me he had talked to Victor, and he asked me, and I said, well, to solve all problems, if you know, in case you speak, I said agreement would solve everything. So he said, yeah, he was for that. Travis went out, found this. He told him the same thing. Travis just told us the other day that Mr. Smith and Mr. Mellon had a verbal agreement. And I said, well, a verbal only holds up so far. If you had it in writing, that would be perpetual. So Travis said, I told him the same thing. So that is where it was left and where I know.
So we talked this morning about this, because they said the approach is in.
Yes.
And that's
I
what
did.
we were getting ready to write a letter to these two guys
Mhm.
to get an easement from Mr. Smith, the legal easement on paper that's recorded across the way to drive across his property. And it's a done deal.
And-
That's what we kept saying.
Mr. Mellon, or however, how do you say it? I'm sorry.
Monet,
Mellon was in agreement with that. He said, okay, that doesn't seem to be a problem.
Just that ribbon.
And he said, Travis said they had a verbal, but he also told them that it would be better to just get it in writing, then there's no going forward, if ownership changes, there's no.
Yep. That's what we said. So
okay, my contention is Mr. Smith has no say. He has no ownership.
hence that's why I gotta find out if that's a county road or a state highway.
Even if it's a county road, he,
If it's a county road, if that was a county road drawn right there, Smith would own that ground underneath that road.
why do you say that when the deed that never transferred the ground?
I know, that's what's confusing about this, because this is the state highway. County roads, every county road in Beaverhead County, the property lines go to the center of the road.
Christie's gonna get something that
Okay.
shows that Casey owns the property where the road is.
Oh. And so that road up through that whole valley, I've never checked into it, is it?
Yeah, well,
Or
right,
is it?
right there, that property is owned by the same person, both sides of the road. Is that correct now?
Which, that's right.
There's, yeah, you get that ribbon on this side of the road, and then that piece on the other side of the road.
Yeah.
Is that the same
That's the same
individual?
owner.
That,
If you,
So.
the piece on this side of the road is the one I'm contending
Yeah,
belongs to Mr. Paul.
If you-
oh,
Paul, well, they're dead, of course, this
Yeah.
was 80
Yeah.
years ago. And I'm saying that's the
piece
one that
owns
should
all
go through
like
his
that.
sheet.
and that, see that
Mhm.
Paul, but
So
that,
you're saying that whole strip of road belongs to Paul?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm saying the deeds say that.
Yeah.
the deed
I don't
say
say
that, but I don't.
And that'd be it.
That's why I wanted the lawyer,
Well,
because I know what,
prescriptive.
Here's my recommendation.
Oh, okay.
All right, so it says, Christie went to get something?
That,
the school property there, I was just like, the school property is an adjacent landowner, but the school property sets back off of that fence line because there was originally another road when the school was put in that went through my property down there in the bottom. But, so I sold the school property to the present owner, Dan and Marty Seifert. And I had to get an easement from Huntsman through that property between the yellow line and the blue line from Huntsman to I don't call it a state or county road, I call it public road right of way, because I'm not real sure. What I do know, it's a public road right of way.
Yep.
Whether it's state or county, I'm not gonna even guess.
And see, that's where
I think it was county.
these road issues, that's when they laid out these plats. Argenta, Wisdom for dang sure, probably Jackson. They laid them out where these little strips of road or land look like the roads and streets. But nobody owns that ground underneath them. And that's why other than going through Argenta, going to Argenta, up that road, the people own to the center line. Once you get inside that platted town, they laid out streets and alleys that we keep vacating and stuff. Carpeta, it's out in his hayfield. That there's these little lots on paper with the street going right through his hayfield. And that's what we've argued that point forever, that if I could get on the map, I could go walk right through his hayfield, that BLM ground, because I'm on a platted street. And it's out in the middle of the hayfield. So that's why these road, who owns that road or what's underneath that road, and if you've got the documentation that it might be one of those things like Argenta, somebody might own that road, the land underneath it.
I would like to make one comment here. It's a really interesting too. This is 1,593 feet of roadway, 2.4 acres. You pencil it out, it comes out right at 66 feet. It's wonderful. It's beautiful for my argument, because it says this is what it was laid out for. 66 feet is the rule of thumb.
It's
For-
a root chain. It's 66 feet is what they used to call it, a chain, use a chain measurement.
Okay.
37 feet.
Is that right?
Yeah, they're 66 feet of road, they're here and there everywhere. It's not, most of them are 60. Every once in a while, 66 feet like this. I think it's the age of it, maybe, I don't know. You know, that used to be a wagon stagecoach trail up over there and
Well,
all that. you know.
that's basically what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because those buildings, the railroad was finished in 1881 from Corrine, Utah to Butte. And so the town was really already there when Mr. Deering was granted. And then Mr. Deering, when he sold it to Paul, the town was really kind of there, but nothing would ever been done as far as development. And they actually did the development. And it really interested me that this road came out to this 66 feet perfectly. I thought that was pretty good for 1937.
This is the Smith property.
All right, what's his dotted line? County road.
This is the boundary of this property.
Hi, Kristen.
Hi, how are you, Victor?
Good. Okay, there you go. So I don't know. I
This thing-
contend this underlying, I contend the underlying ownership of this is Paul. And I think I have it in the deeds to show that. But yes, sir, that's it. This is the corner section of the section 3. The line actually runs out this way, but this was the old road going, because the bottom of the hill is right here. See, so it just went right up there.
The section line runs here,
Yeah, this is
but
the
the
section line.
the property line's this.
Yes, this is a property line of all of this, because this is abstracted out of all of this. See, because Paul owned everything, okay? So when he sold this to Miller, he saved and accepted this whole piece, all of it, saved and accepted. Those words are the words that we really have to put our brain to and get the legal people involved so that they explain to you what save and accept means. Save and accept means it doesn't transfer. So if it never transferred to Miller, then nothing, and this has gone up about too, but if it never transferred to Miller, nothing that was ever done to this property matters. And actually that follows through even to the Miller relocation survey in 1992, because they reference a deed where this is mentioned that was saved and accepted. So I have a 1992 deed in here that saved and accepts this property also, but it's just wordage because they wanted to understand what this is. And even when you start talking about acreage for tax reasons, I can show you where that 2.4 acres was deducted from this parcel in 1937. So he can't claim he's paid taxes on it and then try to do a quiet title because he probably hasn't. And the bottom line is,
And
we don't want anything built between the road and the fence.
I see.
So, I don't know. I just try to keep it out of court. I don't want it to go to court. I really don't, because none of us can really afford to do that. And I think that if we went through the process of the sheet, that we could get it in the states. It could belong to the state school trust, and nothing would ever be there. And we'd still have this nice and clean entry into the valley. And nobody put a used trailer on it. And also underneath that right of way is a water line, the old railroad water line that fed the locomotives on the train. Because when it was bought in 1909, the railroad right of way was all there also. So he didn't get a whole 80 acres. He just got, because there was minus that, which takes up quite a bit of it. So there's a water line under there, and there's also fiber optics under that ground. So there's plenty of easement under the ground also, not only the right of way, but easement.
Okay. Come on in.
well,
Start this right in.
if that is a county road like this says, if we're 66 feet, can you tell me, this is the corner, the section corner?
Yes, sir.
How far is it out to the edge of that road?
To the east edge, I'd say it's pretty close to, you're talking about the east edge. This is
We're
the
talking
east.
66 feet, so I'm wondering, is that road within the easement?
It is down here on this end,
Yeah, but
but it
ain't,
isn't up there. No.
but if, there ain't enough room to put a trailer house here inside that easement, is there? I mean, that's what I'm wondering,
There's
how
probably
big
from
that
the,
is.
from the fence to the road up there, I would say is right at 65 feet. Fence to the edge of the road.
Inside that.
So the east side of the road.
Right.
There.
That's about 65 feet. And then it tapers. But see, if we give somebody ownership of that property, he owns the whole thing all the way down. And it affects all of the adjacent landowners. The school property, the Huntsman property, the Peshahonoff property, and the Moline property. So we have 4 separate, and I'm not so sure that Huntsman property is in Bonnie and Tammy's name because they're doing things differently for tax reasons. So anyway, but I've told them, and then Bonnie, of course, she's not happy about it, but they have a lot of irons in the fire. Yeah. And it's, you know, and like Bill told Mr. Moline that he can't put anything there. Well, You can say that, but if you give it to him, then it would be kind of hard to stop him. I mean, if he didn't put a trailer on there, he could put junk on there,
Yeah.
you know? But we don't want him to store it, because nothing has been on that property for, well, forever, but since it became a road right of way, nothing's been put on that property.
But my question is, it goes back to 2.4 acres.
Yes, sir.
So that white line up through there, if you use that as the center line,
Oh,
that would be, if you're right and he does not own underneath that road, that still leaves a little bit of piece over there that is his property. Is that right?
not sir, not because of the right of way, because of the deeded right of way that we have that was definitely above, was underneath the older road. This road only got there because Miller was the postman in Monida to Lakeview to Alaska Basin. So he wanted a straight route, so he and his buddies in Lima, they just built the road straight through there. They didn't pay any attention to anything. Miller owned the property. He didn't care. Let's just put the line, a straight line to the bottom of the hill. I can actually show you though, on the ground, where the old road was. You can see it.
And is that what your paper says, your deed says that it follows that property line?
Yes, sir.
That's the difference. Our road's in the wrong place.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's very common in the south edge. This west end is plumb off the line.
And nobody wants to go to court. But with that said, it's all the court cases are is that road is the monument now. So it's 33 feet from the center line of that thing is the road.
Okay.
If we go to court. I don't know what they'll tell you on this part.
I could comment on that. I'm not going to comment on what a judge would say or a court would say, but I know what state law says, because the road isn't on the right of way, it didn't ever move the right of way. Okay, the right of way didn't move because Miller changed the road. The right of way stayed where it was. Okay, against that fence line. Because the road moved, didn't change the legal terminology to the right of way. So what happened is the road infringed on the property that Casey built, but it's been there. It only has to be there for 5 years to become prescriptive use. So basically, I wouldn't want to be the person that tried to argue, well,
What term did you use, exception and what, how do you say that?
the sheet,
No, huh?
Save and accept.
Save and accept.
they, oh yeah,
Save-
save and accept, yes. But that's a very important term.
I can see that.
And I know it takes some time to think about it and look at and talk to the legal people, and I hope you take the time. And what I would like to walk out of here with kind of an agreement that if anything does change, that the adjacent landowners are let know. Like if you were to consider vacating the right of way, the deeded right of way, it's supposed to be that all of the adjacent landowners that are affected are notified personally, plus it needs to be advertised and a public meeting on. Okay, so I just want to guarantee that I know what's going to transpire before it happens, so that we can get it in the adjacent landowners, because I know I talked for Mr. Moline, and I know I talked for a couple others, but I'm not going to. But we would definitely try to get an injunction to stop any more movement until a real decision is made on how we go forward.
I see, yeah.
Is Mr. Casey dead set against giving him an easement across that?
Is what?
Is Mr. Casey
Casey Smith?
Casey Smith, I guess, Casey Smith, is he dead set? I heard that he was verbally, they're gonna give him an easement across there for, Mullane, and then this is all.
Okay, this is my contention.
Alright.
The
But yours
more,
or theirs?
most of Mullaney's,
Okay,
the more you let Casey dictate what goes on that property, the more you give he doesn't want to back down. He wants to keep pushing. Where I think we could stop it immediately by showing that the property never was originally transferred to the Miller property in the first place. So from 1937, which is where the first place this ever turned up, from 1937, it's never been owned by that Miller property, which Casey Smith owns today. So, I mean, if he never owned it, he has no right. And all we're doing is giving him leverage by stating that you have to go to him and ask him and things like that, which kind of, we'd like to just kind of nip it in the bud and say, hey, listen, here's what it says. Maybe talk to your lawyers, find out what save and accept really means, who does own the underlying ownership, and then go from there.
That's fine.
we got this other one coming up. So yeah, if that's your request, yeah, before we change that road, we're gonna find out this 1937 stuff you're talking about. You got it?
I have it all. I mean, I can
Yeah.
let you copy it or whatever you'd like to do. I mean, I can stay here and have somebody copy it. I don't really want to give it up because it's hard to dig. It's hard for me personally to go over there and dig stuff out of your archives. It's not as easy for me to do. So for me to just give you that.
Yeah.
It's kind of difficult. I could give it to you and let you copy it and
copy
then come
this?
back and get it. Would that be acceptable?
We'll just get it right there and she can run over to somebody, because we got this next one coming. You can copy a bunch of that stuff off. Because I see whatever the heck that save and accept words are. And if that's the case, look at this 1937. Because if somebody owns that road, what he contends, it makes this whole thing different.
So why don't we send them to the other side, Victor, and then
Yeah.
they can continue on with their other meeting.
Just get that part, that 1937 deed. If that's what that says, that's the big one.
Okay.
I
agree.
Okay, then we'll do it. So I'm gonna be up through there in a couple of days.
Thank you very much.
I'm gonna be up there, I gotta go through there Thursday.
Like 13.
You're gonna be surprised at our little dog gets a lot more traffic. Thank you.
Well, no, I was up there the other day after we talked last time, yeah.
Good. Thank you very much. Thank you, John.
Total unusual. Canterbury Road. That's where.
This is what Kathy passed me when she walked in.
Oh, this way you want to say.
There's
I know that there's, he says there's,
I remember this.
there are surveys that show us. Right, we can do that following this meeting, but
324, they're gonna pay that. The state owns it. That is a state secondary too, so that's what I can maintain.
Right.
they probably don't have. Their last two have zero.
Well, 324.
I've been here the whole time.
That section there being that. I bet that's easement wise, but still, and where is the easement? And where do you find it?
Well, sounds like he did.
I'm paying that to be. You'll get there.
Good, how are you?
All right. Oh, excuse me.
Sure. Healthcare staff up there and all. She's a traveling. Started this like 4 months.
Well, does it need to be an agenda item next week? It doesn't need to be an agenda item.
Does it have to be?
I don't think so.
I don't think.
She just needs to,
Just get
y'all
her
declare
blessing.
yea or nay.
All right.
One short.
Okay.
Yeah. Clerk record did it, they did a interview program, through the interview process to hire fill a vacancy
County treasurer.
for the county treasurer, not clerk recorder, I'm sorry. And, they come up with the name of, Deanna Leslie. I guess it's up to us to prove that.
Make a motion, we proceed with Kathy hiring Deanna Leslie for the treasurer position.
All in favor, signify by
Aye.
aye. Deanna is fired.
Thank you.
Motion, rest of it, easy.
It gets too hot.
Over there.
Nick, it gets too hot over that way, slide right there. You don't know. Well, I don't care. It's just-
I'll check IDs.
I think.
Maybe somebody else wants to have friends.
We got 7 minutes yet. I've been trying to call him, I haven't, but I'm gonna take that down so. Yeah. Well, I did have.
Yeah.
Was there two of them there?
I have a bunch of.
There it is. There it is.
Take that with you.
Yeah.
No. Oh, I thought you were gonna put on.
We have one chair.
Come on in.
One chair? We have one chair.
Oh,
I got a chair right
There's
here.
one over here.
There's two chairs.
Two chairs.
Right here. One there, one here. Yeah.
Don't sit in that.
That's an ornament.
Yeah. It's a phone.
An ornament.
You ever picked up that phone?
That one?
Yeah.
No.
Direct line. Two of them, I don't know. Right? Yeah. You pick it up, it says, don't touch that.
Five minutes.
Gonna wait for the bell on the top. Beaverhead, yeah, right. Pretty close.
And then another minute.
We came from Kings.
That's pretty
But
cool.
it's pretty old.
So no.
This is like it's an antique.
It's made to look like one.
Yeah. That's what I was told.
Yeah, there you
And my wife's father, they said, "Hell, they even an antique."
Coast to coast.
Sure. That's why. I got more space.
go. Right? What's that ball?
They're getting more, no, we're getting more chairs.
Hmm?
Sean,
Yeah,
are getting more chairs, so.
Where we put them?
there's one more row right in
Yeah.
here, I mean,
Yep.
maybe.
You think this may be a hot topic?
Yeah.
Only church show up last, different parts. I'll get one, yeah.
Right.
This is the A row.
Front row. VIP section. Thank you, sir.
Pay attention to that.
All right, discussion, looking for public, opinion on citing the state women's prison in Beaverhead County. You want to start this?
Sure,
Right here.
Department of Corrections, appointing is Brian Gooten. He used to be a sheriff, I think, out of Shoto County. I've known him for quite a few years, but he was appointed director of corrections. And he called the other day, and that's what I want to make it crystal clear. Appreciate all you guys coming. They're looking for these things called requests for information. And what it boils down to is on this women's prison, is it any county or city that's interested in citing that place that goes through this whole application process. It's competitive. I know there's a couple other counties that are hot on the trail of getting this thing, and ask if Beaverhead County would want it, and if we had a place to put it. And this happened last Thursday. So the big thing is this application, if we're even going to be considered, has got to be in by tomorrow. So it's a deadline, is why I appreciate everybody coming today on the notice of this is where we're at. As we read through this directive that we got, is understand there's no contract will come out if we go forward with this. It will be a long process, and we'll get the contract in here. We did, since it was a short notice, we handpicked, I guess, the only real property that we got in the county was just up at the landfill. County owns that one section. I know the way the landfill, we haven't even talked to the landfill board whether they would do it or not. But that one corner that's right against McNeil's would never be under landfill. So there's some flat ground there. These things needs approximately 40 acres. So as you go through this application process, we thought we'd get going just in case. And what started it too is the growth policy that Beaverhead County has is sort of our guideline of what we want to do. When they did the residential outreach of this thing, here the response of most of the residents in Beaverhead County, one of the big bullet points is lack of job opportunities, economic development, and lack of retail shopping. So this is, I guess, right, wrong, industry, whatever. This would be the industry to solve a few of those lack of job opportunities. So this application that we need to ask some questions today on, the purpose, the background, information. Since we said it was going to be at the landfill, or that was the one place we were putting, we had a private individual already called this morning and said they have. Well, there you are. Okay. That they have a perfect spot for it. So this is definitely early enough in the thing. It's not pinpointed. It's got to be at the landfill. It doesn't have to be on your property. I don't know whether to go far. I mean, this is a Beaverhead County looking proposal if it'll fit. I just thought we might be interested to see if it'd go. So that's the big thing. Information requested. We got all that due. So land availability, they wanted to know that. Infrastructure and services, we're short some of those, but economic development, that's what drives that. You know, mental health cases, there's not a lot in Dillon, Beaverhead County, but it's something like this might drive the industry of that people coming. So look at, I'm going to give you the positive side of this thing just because of that economic development driver. But the land availability, infrastructure and services, I think we've covered. We got the college, workforce. We're dang sure short here, but like I said, opposed to Boulder, Montana, which is the other one that's really driving for this thing. I think we'd be there. Community support and partnerships. That's where they got talking about if it was going to be here, would the county donate 40 acres of that landfill to site this thing? You know, that's kind of sport on it. But number 8, and this is where I'm going to turn it over to you, is community interest. Would your community be interested in hosting a women's correctional facility? So that is one of the first questions they want to know on here. That is what I'm suggesting the commissions want to hear from you. So I guess if you give your name real quick, if you want to be on the record, thumbs up, thumbs down, just a quick scenario, why or why not.
Okay,
Fair enough?
go ahead, sir. Give your name.
I'll start. Taylor Rose, I'm the CEO for Beaverhead Hospital Healthcare. I think if we're using the litmus test of jobs is the only thing that we're trying to get here, I'd say there's a lot of other opportunities that'll bring jobs to this county that we probably have not pursued. And the negative this could potentially bring is huge. I've spoken with the CEO of the hospital in Deer Lodge. These patients, while there are medical staff on site, they do end up in the hospital frequently. If you know anything about rural hospital finances and critical access hospitals, what this does is it dilutes your payer mix around your cost report. And so not only do they pay not enough to cover the services they're doing, they dilute the amount that you get paid for your other services that you're providing to other patients. And then in addition to that, they don't pay in a timely manner. Right now up in Deer Lodge, they're close to $1 million behind on payments. You just mentioned that we don't have a large instance of behavioral health in Beaverhead County. You and I have had the discussion of right now your jail is blowing up because of mental health. There's a significant amount of bills that the county has to take account of now because of that, and we're struggling to pay those bills as a county for the medical care for those inmates. And so, and then you talk to the community up in Deer Lodge, it just brings a lot of other things into the community that just lowers the standards of our community. And I think if jobs is a deciding factor, there's other things we can invest our time in to bring jobs. And I just asked the question, are we that desperate right now with Beaverhead County that we're willing to bring in? I mean, I could say, well, bring in all the criminals, put them on the streets, and that's going to create more jobs for cops, but we don't want that, right? So like, I'm gonna say, are we that desperate? And I don't think we are as a community, because I see a lot of positive things in this community. We have a lot of opportunities. We could create an industrial park over there because there's businesses that are knocking down the door to try and look for industrial space here for manufacturing jobs and other jobs like that. So that's my question. Are we that desperate? There are a lot of things that happen when you bring this type of facility in. I'm not saying that it won't bring jobs, it'll bring jobs, but are we ready as a community to deal with everything else that it's gonna bring? Those patients are gonna end up in the hospital. Women's health is gonna probably likely bring other things that we're not prepared to handle, quite honestly, right now. So that is just my main comment is, where are we at as a community and are we ready for that? So, yeah.
Okay. Somebody else? Go ahead.
I think, so you're saying 40 acres is what they're looking at. How?
Give your name, please.
Lenny McNeil. Yes, sorry about that. So 40 acres, you're saying, how, and what I read, I think in the newspaper was it would be 400 beds. Is that correct? So we're saying that would be 400 beds, and that's a pretty large amount of people that would be in the facility, plus all the workers, plus, maintenance, plus, and we're talking a lot of people that would have to work there out of this community, this small community.
If I had said, if nobody's looked at it, they're proposing that this thing would take 75 full-time jobs.
Okay.
So that's the kind of job thing we're looking to staff something like that, yeah.
Mhm.
And
But I think-
yeah,
But I think I think as a group, we don't know, how big is the building, 400 people. There's a lot of, information that we don't have to say yes or no.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's just been, as you had Great Falls, there's a facility right out there. The one in Billings is where the women's prison is now. They're dormitory style buildings. That's why, whether it fit downtown Dillon, I don't know, but that's why we picked that for the place out on the county line of Madison County. So, yeah.
But that's a lot of people.
Yep.
Next. Go ahead.
Delina Norris Tall. I have 3 concerns. One is about the environmental impact of taking up that much land. We live in a critical habitat, the sagebrush steppe, and I'm just concerned about that. I'm concerned that we don't have an infrastructure to support it, such as medical treatment and so forth. And something else. Oh, so I've been told that there is a prison built in Hardin that's never been used. Is that true?
Yeah.
And why wouldn't they use that one?
I'm not sure. I have no idea.
It might be in the mix of all this. I do not know. Like I said, this is really, really fast and furious on us, so.
Okay. Is that it? Okay, anybody else? Go ahead.
My name's Danielle Damon. I am opposed to the idea, just kind of the same concerns. I think it would increase the strain on local resources such as hospital staff, law enforcement, infrastructure. We already have a problem with staffing in those areas that I think that in prison would require increased staffing, funding, infrastructure, which would all fall on local taxpayers. My biggest concern is the release and reintegration to the community. Most of those inmates don't have anywhere to go, thus dumping them in our community. And I think that's a significant social and safety concern that our county is not equipped to handle. I did a little bit of research on, I guess I'll just leave all that out. I don't want to take anyone's time, too much time up. I just think as a employee for local law enforcement, we see a lot of the ugly of that percentage that violent crimes are capable of. And I don't think a lot of us would want that in our community where our families and kids and grandkids all run freely. I think Dillon itself prides itself on being one of the safest cities, towns in Montana. A lot of people come here for outdoor lifestyle, and I just think it would take away that unique and desirable thing that Beaverhead County is. So I also had concerns, environmental concerns on the waste and population pollution it would generate, being bad for our air and water qualities. So that's most of what my concerns are. Thanks.
Appreciate it. And just real quick on the, I did ask that question on the pre-release. I guess as opposed to some of the John Wayne movies, when you do your 6 months in prison, they open the door and kick you out. They said that's not really the way it works. The pre-release center is right now, they would probably ship them to Butte to do pre-release. And that's sort of the, like I said, well, that would be neat because we don't have the pre-release. And, when pre-release, they got to have a lot of job opportunities. And that's what's existing in Butte now. So they wouldn't do exactly what you said. They don't just kick them out on the street here. Most of them do. But I understand what you're saying. I appreciate that concern. I did ask that question to Google, and I wish he was here a little bit.
I tell you, they struggle with pre-release in Butte too. They can't find housing and everything, so adding more to that is, some more problem.
Mental health care, it's not that good.
All right. Next. Somebody else?
Okay, I will.
Okay.
So I'm the one who said, yes, I have a property. So some of you are probably familiar with it. I wasn't, but the old, what they call it, the baby food factory is out there on East Bench, out in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by the farms. Yes, the farmers may not like it, but out there is a 25,000 square foot facility. You're talking about industry? Well, if you know any of them, send them to us. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that facility, but it is unbelievable. I mean, it has got 483 phase. You could run a car manufacturing plant out there. They put in a 4-inch main from here out there to Northwest Gas. It's got enough gas. It's got 62 acres and it's there. And I mean, I'm not saying whether I have an opinion as to whether it should be here or not, but I'm saying when I heard about this, I said, you've got the perfect location for this. It's not in town. It's not surrounded by little kids. There's not that environment. And so if you were to proceed with this, it is a viable option. I mean, it's worth looking into. Because I think some of the concerns you're talking about would be alleviated, at least again, it's not right here in town. So that's an option, and if you decide to go forward, I'd be more than happy to, work with you on this, provide more info, whatever we need to do.
Okay, when when Dana was splashing this application together, we didn't want to pick your property or
Sure.
anybody's property without permission, so that's why we use landfill.
Sure,
Well, with your permission, I think we
You have
ought
my
to have that in there.
definitely, and I can get you all the
Then
details.
when they do come,
Lori Hirschberger.
if they do come and look, then at least we
Exactly.
get a hold of you and go out and look at that piece.
Yeah, and Taylor, my son was Wes, who was your controller.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
All big, sorry. was there something?
No, you-
No, go ahead.
Ian Turnus. I am the current jail commander here at the Beaverhead County Sheriff's Office. And while I understand that like Dillon is growing and we're getting more and more people here every day, I'm not sure that a women's prison is really plausible or feasible for us. I completely agree with Taylor's comments as well as Danielle's, especially with the infrastructure here and not being able to provide the services that would be needed. You also look at like our county jail right now. We are the current jail is built in 1974, and we are completely outdated. And I mean, we look at the verge of lawsuit territory a lot with holding temporary inmates. And I don't think that it's really right to think about, hey, we can bring in a new facility and all of this stuff when we're not even providing the funds to be able to support our local detention center. The other issue too I see is that I don't know where the state would think that they're going to get the employees for this. Our county has some of the best paying jobs in the state. Our current detention center, we actually have one of the higher paying detention centers in the state of Montana. And we just had an open position come up here, and we had 4 applications for a job in this industry. And 2 of which weren't even qualified to be down working in the facility. So I don't know where you would find the people to staff such a facility. Lori, I love the idea of the building out there. We actually,
It'd be a great detention center.
well,
Madison County's looking for one, Beaverhead, there you go.
here's the thing, the sheriff and I and under sheriff, we all took a look at that building when it came on the auction market before you bought it. We took a look at that. We looked at building from within to be able to do a new jail, as well as being able to do a joint effort between us and Madison County, because Madison County doesn't hold their own jail. We have a contract with them. We hold their inmates. And where that building is right on the border of the counties, it would be a great dual thing. We went out and took a look at it, and we got shot down for that. So I just don't see that putting a women's prison in when we can't even support our local law enforcement and facilities in jail and get those up and running to where they need to be, should even be thought of.
Okay. Somebody else?
Jenny Comer, current county employee, former Department of Corrections employee for 15 years. Just a couple things I wanted to touch on. Miss Damon said it perfectly. The prisons can say that they have great release plans, but they don't. I've seen it. All that, in my opinion, is going to do is bring unnecessary burden on our community. That if they don't have a place to go, they're a donor there. Ian is right with the county paying better than most places. I'm not sure if any of you have seen the starting wage of a correctional officer for the Department of Corrections, but it's not right. With the rental market and the real estate market and the way Dillon has blown up like everywhere else, there is no way somebody on a DOC salary can afford that on their own. So just a couple things for the commissioners, the county to consider in that too.
Somebody else?
Just real quickly, there's a lot of questions unanswered here today. First one I thought was any possible location. I like the idea of the rice brand plant, former feedlot, whatever. But until we get a lot more answers to some of these questions, I don't think we can make an informed decision.
Well, that's why we're here today, is to start the process,
There's a lot of impacts to
yeah.
the community and the county. The biggest one I can think of has been mentioned a couple times, how are we gonna find people to work there?
Yeah.
You say we can't even find people to work in the jail now. Are they gonna bring them in from out of town and they gonna move here and where they gonna live? And, you know, I'm on the fence. Somebody's gotta have a women's prison somewhere. And there could be benefits that we're not aware of. I haven't seen them yet.
Anybody else?
Joe Reyes. Yeah, I oppose this. I think a lot of people have spoken out on like the jobs and the infrastructure. And to that point, not enough information. It's hard to do a rush job to ask for a proposal, to know about more information, as opposed to if someone's coming to you, would you like to participate? I would like to think you would have a case study and have like all the pros and cons laid out so you could have a better informed decision to kick off before we go deeper into the weeds. And, you know, to drone on about the jobs, but it's like based on salaries, what types of jobs, right? How many revolving doors? How often do these jobs get filled and dropped? And if we want to expand to have more people in Dillon or Beaverhead County, are these the jobs that we're just going to monopolize and really put all our eggs in that basket? So that's a good question to really ponder. And infrastructure, if we just, either if it was on someone's private land or if it's on the public, if it's out towards the dump, that road is beat down all the time. Like, who's going to pay for the road? Like, it already goes to crap so often. Like, you have the solar people out there, like, I don't know who pays for the roads to get fixed, and it's not paved, it just ran down. And like, what benefits does come back to the county? Who pays the true cost of everything at the end of the day, right? Like, that's the one thing. It's like, need more information. Like, what do we get instead of giving people incentives or tax breaks? It's just like, what do the residents of Beaverhead County and Dillon get? And then lastly, it's an image thing. If you think about Deer Lodge, it's associated with a prison. So you start bringing that in your own backyard, then you're associated with that. So that's all I need to say.
Anybody else?
A couple of quick questions that I think y'all might be able to answer for myself and for everybody else. Number one, what information needs to go into this RFI that we're providing to them? And number two, if y'all decide to submit an RFI, is it a process that down the road, whenever we do get more information, that we can withdraw at any time?
Oh, definitely can back out of here anytime we want. I sort of went through the list of information that we was putting in this proposal. The one in particular, this land availability, that's why we picked the landfill. Now we got two of those. The big one, like I said today, is if we put this application in here, would your community be interested in hosting the women's prison? I haven't heard a whole lot of positives today, so that's our next step that we're probably gonna do. Are we even gonna go forward with this to even get some more of that information? And like I said, that's what I highlighted on this thing and right here. To do this, there is no contract or result from this. This is they want a few places that are offering availability of this place so they can start doing their research on this. It'd be, before they'd ever put anybody in there, this is a 5-year process at the best. So, economic development, I guess that's why I was doing it on some of this stuff we got. I'm sort of neutral the same way. There's probably as many negatives that come with this as the positives that I can make up as we go.
Commissioner McKinley, Christina Abbey, City of Dillon. The reason I'm here is because there is talk about doing it out 10 Mile Road out there and by the dump, and there is no infrastructure available out there at this point. As far as that rattlesnake line is maxed out, if we can't even get one more house on that line, I'm not sure how we're going to get a prison on there. I talked to our water supervisor with the water department, and we would have to completely upgrade the systems to DEQ standards. It'd have to be tested just like any other line through town anymore. So it would be very expensive for the city to partake in this. That was the proposed location.
So just to add this on what I'm hearing, if we took the landfill and this 10-mile thing off of the proposal of land availability, just went with that, that'd solve some of the infrastructure problems. I mean, everybody else's comments are still the same.
It would solve the infrastructure, but how would you then provide the infrastructure out there?
Right, and then there's still roads, like that's still infrastructure. right?
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
mean, you're gonna have a 40-room facility,
Roads and
whatever, that has
water,
to have.
water,
sewer.
sewage.
Constant vehicles in and out, right? So like supply trucks, just J&J operations.
All right. You got more, Mike?
Eric Wendland, Dillon, Montana. I won't comment to the pros and cons of the prison, but for any economic development, a business has to support a community, and a community has to support a business. So we get calls weekly, if not daily, for housing. We've been held up for 2 years, and we've got 32 home sites we'd like to put in, and I think they'd be full. So I don't, and then, you gotta have people to support economic development, so there's a lot of economic development opportunities, but the community has to build support the jobs as well. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Julie Bullard, and I had a couple of comments. I agree with what everyone else has said, but I'm concerned when you say we would only need 75 employees, because when I looked at data, it said if you have a prison with 400 people nationwide, you would need 150 to 200 employees. So I'm concerned if the state thinks it can be run for 75. So if you look at even needing more employees, it creates even a bigger dilemma. And then secondly, we have a prison in Billings. We just moved 50 people to Boulder. So we've taken care of all the prisoners in Montana at the moment. And so we're looking at a 400-bed facility. And so what I was reading in other newspaper articles was the state is looking at bringing out-of-state prisoners in to fill the prison. And so that's also a concern for me. I mean, it's a concern for me for the prisoners that we don't even have a major airport here for out-of-state people to visit the people in prison. It becomes even a bigger concern about what happens to these people when they get out of prison. It makes me wonder why we are supporting a project like this that isn't really going to benefit Montanans except perhaps for money. So those are my additional comments to agreeing with everything else that was said.
Okay.
My name is Kenny Crane. I'm here in Dillon, and I happen to live on 10 Mile Road. And I'm coming at this as a mom, a business owner, and I can say I am opposed to it. I think the safety of it for my children and how it will bring the county maybe down, and I don't want to see that. I love this county. And also, like you said, on 10 Mile Road, there is no infrastructure. We've tried to get water out there. We dug really deep, and there isn't any. And so the value of our property right now is as it is. And if you put a prison next door to us, what's that going to do to the property? And if you choose to put it somewhere else, I'm sure those neighbors would have the same concerns. So yeah, if we're just looking at this as a monetary thing, I think we're looking at it wrong. I think for the safety of our families, and like you said, we see it on the news, people escape from prisons all the time, and I would hate for that to happen. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I guess I'll go. Lilia Sanchez, Public Health Director. Everyone already talked about everything going on already, but definitely the lack of resources in the behavioral health aspect, just in Beaverhead County and Montana, period. There's just a lack of mental health, behavioral health for a community. So for us that we see people every day, sometimes we don't know where to refer them to because there isn't a place to refer them to. So we're already dealing with our own, community and our own issues. I feel like we're not there yet as far as, you know, having the infrastructure, like everyone said. Maybe down the line, but I just don't see that, especially because we went up like a week. I feel like there's a lot more that we need to hear, you know, and a lot more input from the community that needs to be taken into account.
We had a week, we've got a day now. Yeah, this is gonna be decided here pretty quick, so.
Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay. We're not, you know,
All right, then, it's up to us, guys.
No.
Is the way I think this is we've got we've got this proposal, we've asked to do this, and that's what part of the big question was, is county input. And I think that draft letter that I said on your desk this morning that we did the other day is they would want comments from the commission and eventually from the city, wherever we put, there you guys are. We would do this. And like I said, we're really early in this thing. So, and I think we heard loud and clear. I mean, there's probably more little thing on that than not. So what that is, there's a decision needs to be made. I think we ought to do it before all these people leave. Let them know if we're going to do this or not. So I've never been, I mean, it's parliamentary procedure, so take this with a grain of salt. You're not supposed to put a negative motion on the floor. So I sit here and I'm going to move that we send in this application for request for information.
this says discussion only, is that?
Well, we got to get the thing out. We probably should have got that. So
Just, I guess if we're going by Robert's rules, I have a point of inquiry then.
okay.
Was the purpose of today's meeting, is that to gather whether or not there is or is not community support so that you can answer that question in the RFI that's getting sent off that says, so far, everything we've heard has been no thank you, as opposed to an action item on whether or not it's getting sent off?
Yeah, and we need to know if it's going to be sent off. That's what I'm asking for. Because we got this, and I've heard pretty much from the city that we said there's a water line coming right by that. So that is, you know, those are the kind of things that change. So our proposal, if we did, I would say it was going to be Mrs. Harshberger's place. So, but that's all it is. I mean, yeah, do we want to send this application in? I guess is the question we're asking. It's almost all ready to go. Couple other letters, finish up this piece of it here. And, you know, and I guess, like I said, if we put in there the community don't want it, I don't know why we put it in, but anyway.
I have a question. So how does it benefit Beaverhead County to continue forward, knowing how people feel and very valid reasons? What benefits Beaverhead County?
That is why we had this meeting today.
I know, but why would you continue?
I guess I'm going to go pro economic development and say on this is the job the job that people want. I mean, this mental health part is the big part. You put a prison here, it would drive that industry to be here.
Okay, but you have, you know, Ian's statements, you know, as well as we all do, we put out to hire people for our jail and we get no response. So we're gonna have 75 more positions.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just asking.
Yeah, we, other than asking to be put here, Beaverhead County has nothing to do with this. This is a state program.
So we don't benefit our county.
You put, if there were 75 new employees here, yes.
That's
70 new houses, all that kind of stuff.
Is there any tax revenue? Is there any kind of?
No tax on the prison.
Is there any, is it a lease situation? Is it a donated land situation? I mean, is there anything other than the economic or the increase in the tax base with 75 new jobs?
That'd be it.
Okay.
Yeah, and the drive economic development wouldn't be just that prison. There'd be all this other stuff that comes with it. The one in particular, I would say, would be the mental health piece and very possibly the college and some of that workforce training. Those are the kind of things that we could put in an application, the positive part.
What does your planner say about this? Just curious, because I know if 75 people, 75 jobs equates to a whole lot of population growth, and if that all went in the city of Dillon, that would actually move us up to a bigger class city. So we would totally have to change everything the way the city of Dillon does, and I'm not sure there's any room for 200 or 75 families, we'll go that way. So is your county planner good with the addition of the housing? And
I'll be
everything
honest
that's
with
gonna be
you, I
required?
just heard about this a few days ago when I first came back. So
Sometimes-
I've only talked to Tom a little bit about it. I know his stand and, being out by the dump. So there's no way you could get water and sewer there.
Oh, yeah,
I
we-
was not aware of the other property, so I'll be honest, I have not truthfully looked into this because I just heard about it.
Yeah, it is way premature. I mean, I will give you that. I heard about it Wednesday afternoon, Thursday. I think when we start doing this. And two, they said we got a letter from, Judge Braddock, the district, or Justice Court. She's not a real big fan of it, so.
Go ahead.
I got a question. Danny Arts, I live out in Argenta. If you guys move forward with sending in this letter, are we allowed to add on some letters of public comment about?
You independently could comment, no problem.
Big time, yeah.
Anybody, yourself,
Right.
you could write in.
That's what democracy is about.
Yeah, anybody like your right there.
Anybody else? I saw another hand, yeah?
Is this one of those prisons where they're gonna provide some housing on the property? Are they gonna have housing on it?
For 400 people.
So I can.
I doubt it.
Yeah, but I can't employ housing, yeah.
You also-
Employee housing.
You also have to think about, the jobs it's gonna create, but like, what about the families that come here to be with the prisoners? Like, their families might move down here as well, so you've got more people coming in.
The families of the,
Inmates.
if they built housing on there for employees too,
Yeah.
then I know there's no tax base, because the housing.
Yeah, that's why I'm wondering, is I'm familiar with prisons that do employee housing, and once again, it's gonna be a tax-free.
And I can comment a little bit on that. The state of Montana and their prison systems do not provide housing to their employees.
Okay.
The other thing you have to look at too is men's prison and women's prison in the state of Montana have the highest employee turnover rate out of any law enforcement related agency in the state. And that's, and the fact that the state is telling you guys that it would create, like, that it would take 75 people, I'm sorry, is complete bull. Right now, the average amount of employees needed to run a 120 to 150 person facility is 60. That's going to include your cooks, your officers, your transport, like all of that. So where they're getting a number of 75 for a 400 bed facility, that's literally them going, oh, we're going to throw this out so it sounds more reasonable to you guys. And for the amount of employees or whatnot. But the other issue is, like I said, they've got the highest. If you look at the correctional facilities and what they turn over for the state, like at the MLEA and their courses, the state prisons they allot like 10 spots per class, because that's the amount of turnover rate that nobody wants to work for. The state won't pay them well. The benefits aren't great. And you might facilitate 75 employees, but guaranteed they're going to leave. And then they're going to be hurting. And then if we do establish it, I think the men's prison right now, I mean, I can't tell you how many employees they're down right now and open spots that they have. Nobody wants to apply for it. And you'll run into the same exact thing here. If we establish it, get the prisoners, filling it up with prisoners is not the problem. But you will get all those people leave, and then all of a sudden we're stuck with, 400 female prisoners with no staffing and a continuance of no way to do it.
I'll ride his coattails.
Oh,
on that.
years they have been short-staffed.
Right, that's what I'm talking about, what kind of jobs and like the turnover, right? So like I worked at Amazon for 2 years. You just churn through the population nonstop for those warehouse jobs and you get burnout, right? Just to that point. And then I worked for the federal government here. they have a hard time filling these lower position jobs for firefighter type 2. And that's just real base pay. You can't get anyone to come to Dillon, and that's for a seasonal job. So it's just like, what jobs are we, saying that we're creating or bringing here when we have, like everyone's mentioned multiple times, have a hard time keeping at the hospital, have just a churn and burn of people through the county.
All right.
I would think as a point of order that you should proceed with Commissioner McGinley's positive motion and then call for the question and vote on it.
Okay.
I vote second.
Or you did second it?
Yeah.
Okay, if you don't second it, it'll die anyway, so that's, get on to that legitimate piece. So if it doesn't have a second, it ain't gonna go anywhere.
You made the motion, Tom?
No, I made the motion.
You made the motion?
I thought McGinley made the first motion.
Okay.
Yeah. So if nobody seconds it, it's done deal.
Okay. Are you seconding?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
He made the motion.
You made the motion. Is there a second?
No.
I'm not seconding. No way down.
Sorry.
Thanks for your input. I mean, this is.
I'm not kidding. I want to commit suicide.
Oh, that's not gonna solve it. You got more medical to take care of. We can bring it in, not our community. That is.